So today I'm going to show you how to build another variation of the Paiute deadfall. This time we're replacing the main bait stick that is solid wood and replacing it with a string and a toggle. So stick with me and I'll show you how to build this and step by step, and we'll set it off. Okay, so what you're going to need is some sticks, some paracord, and a rock or a piece of debris that's fairly heavy. I'm using this piece of concrete again, and how you want to do it, same as before, is you want to rest this up on like a 45-degree angle, and when an animal goes underneath the rock and takes your bait, it falls and crushes it. Okay, so first thing we have to do is measure our upright post. Now right in this V here is where I want to measure from. So I go down 1.5 inches approximately, and I make a little mark, and I cut that off at that mark. Okay, we have our upright measured. Now at the top of the upright, we want to cut a backwards V into it. And on the other end, that's going to go on the ground. You want to true that up so it's nice and flat. Just like so. And the backwards V. Now the next thing what we want to do is we want to measure our pivot stick. So I'm going to make mine approximately to about here, which is basically about a hand length, and cut that off. Okay, so we have that cut off. Now on the one end that's going to support the rock, we want to taper that. So, and then 1.5 inches down, we're going to cut a V into it in line with the taper, just like so. So there we go, there's our V. How that's going to work is just like so, and that's going to pivot back and forth. Now the next thing that I would do is about a 1/2 inch up from the base. I'm going to cut a V all the way around, and that's where our string is going to attach, just like so. Now the next thing that you want to do is get your string. So what I'm using is paracord. The nice thing about paracord, it's a solid piece of string, but inside there's 7 individual strings that can be used. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up and measure our string. About 1.5 inches or so past the upright, and then at your pivot stick I leave the same, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. You can always trim it up after. Then we just cut that off. Take the outer sleeve off, and then you have your individual strings. Tie that to your pivot stick. just with a couple of half hitches will do. And then on the other end of the line, you're going to tie your toggle. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so what we're going to do now is set this up and measure our bait stick for the length that's needed. So the nice thing about the string is that if it's too long, you can just wrap it around the pivot stick to get the appropriate length. And see how that string holds all the weight. There's very little pressure. So now what we want to do is we're just going to put that one end of your bait stick, cut it to a point, and it's going to sit inside of a little divot on the rock, and then just measure your length and cut that off. Make it so that it has a square end on the end and a point on the other. And now you're ready to go. So we'll set it up. Okay, so we're set up. There it is. As you can see, we have our pivot stick here. We have the string. It's wrapped around. Attached to our toggle here, and then our bait stick goes from the toggle to a little divot on the rock. Okay, so how this works is our animal comes in, either climbs on the bait stick or is eating your bait on the rock or on the stick. Once he touches that stick, it falls down and crushes him. Then it's game over. So I'll set that up once more, show you once more how it's done and how it's set up, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so as you can see again, our pivot stick held up by our upright. String goes around backside of the upright, connected to our toggle, and then our bait stick goes from the toggle to a divot on the rock. Our animal comes in, climbs onto the bait stick, very, very little pressure, and it's game over. So there it is, another variation of the Paiute deadfall. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Get out there and practice, and hope to see you guys on the next video. Bye for now.